Zach on how to change the timing to a live show, which I thought I did pretty well, but apparently I didn't.
Well, we all have our errors.
It's okay. It's early. We're off vacation a little bit, so I am anyway. So, lots to talk about. We didn't meet last week, right? Nope. So, and a lot's happened in the free agency world for NBA. A lot's happened for baseball as well. So let's jump into NBA because then we can get it over with. We can talk about something a little more fun to talk about. So
something that's current.
Something that's current. NBA. We've got so long to go. How much longer do we have until technically the NBA season starts? October. Is that when the first games start?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we got like preseason, like late August, September.
Yeah.
And they continue. One thing though that I thought was really going to be relevant. For me anyway, and I've kind of lost interest very quickly, and a lot of it has to do with the live aspect, is the Big Three League.
Yeah, the fact that you don't get to watch it live.
I was very excited about it, and then all of a sudden it's Sunday night, and I'm getting these alerts on social media saying like, oh, this team just won, and I'm like, I'm going through all my channels, I can't find it. And then come to find out, they replay them on Monday. I'm like, oh, that's a deal breaker for me. Kind of want to watch these as they're happening, or at least be able to record it and then watch it in the morning.
See, I don't do recorded sports. I can't.
Right.
Like,
that's different for me. Where like I can kind of put it away for Sunday night, and I can watch it Sunday night. Yeah, or I can record it Sunday night, watch it Monday morning. But I'm not going to watch it Wednesday. Yeah, recorded doesn't make sense to me. There are some events that I will record and watch later. Like this, but they're not like they're not like big sporting events. I'm talking more like the celebrity softball game for like for MLB All-Star game, All-Star Week.
Yeah,
I can record that and watch later. I don't care if I know the score's 13-10. I just want to see what happened and how the celebrities did. But like, when you're talking like your major sports, no,
it has
can't
to.
happen.
I mean, the only reason for it
world.
has to be a cost thing to me. Like, it must have just been too expensive for them to do it live, because otherwise it makes no sense to me.
I can't imagine why it wouldn't, because they're eventually in that exact same arena going to be having live hockey games.
Yeah.
So why is the technology not in there yet? Have they not had concerts there before? Like, this isn't. I know it's a new stadium, but it's not that new.
No, the only thing it can pop into my head is because of cost. It's the only thing that logically makes sense, because they're not sure how it was going to do, so you throw it in a replay spot, not on a Sunday night, which makes sense. Sunday night is going to be expensive. It's when people are lounging around.
What is it on? It's on Fox Sports?
Fox Sports.
Fox Sports? What is Fox Sports showing on a Sunday night now? I mean, they're not ESPN where you have Sunday night baseball.
They might have some baseball.
It's not football season where you're competing with a major network like that, like NBC on a Sunday night. There's nothing really going during the summer on a Sunday night.
Yeah, I don't know.
It didn't make any sense to me.
I can't even.
I was really excited to really get into basketball. I've been getting more and more into basketball, watching the games, watching the trading, watching those, the teams during the playoffs and everything. I was like, oh, you know what? This is going to be great for me because I'll have a little extra something to watch during the summer to kind of keep that interest there. And I was more excited about the hype than I was about the actual event, which I think happens from time to time. It does.
I did watch some of the first week games, and I was intrigued. I liked it. But again, like you said, the fact that I could see everything that happened
the day before, right,
just killed it for me. Like, that's just not how I want it to be.
There are times where things like social media are great in that aspect. I love it during the draft. I like knowing on my phone through Twitter who the next pick is going to be in the draft, and they haven't even announced it yet. That's kind of cool to me because it's like I feel like I'm like in the thick of it. But when you're talking about sporting events, recorded sporting events, that's terrible.
Yeah, it does nothing. It's very disappointing.
And I know there are a lot of people that do record the game, they watch it later. So like what I used to do is if we had a family event, I'd record the Patriots game. I would put my phone on airplane mode, and no one would ever bother me because no one ever talks about it. But it's a little different when I don't really have a reason to shut my phone. It's just it's like a secondary or a type of program to watch.
Like you said, is like I turn off my phone or put on airplane mode or turn off every notification of everything, and I don't go on Facebook so that I don't see what's going on. But that's only if I have a game paused that I'm going home to watch, or I'm watching that night.
Right.
Otherwise, I'm too anxious. I can't do it. I need it now.
Yeah.
I'm an instant gratification
and then
kind of guy.
And then you have the problem where on like the byline, and some other things too will pop up, and I find that all the time where I'm watching the highlights for the next day. I don't want to see the score. I just want to see what the highlights are. And then all of a sudden it goes down on the little byline. I'm like, oh, great. Now I already know what it is. So the NBA, I'm not really paying attention to the big three. Like I said, I was more excited about the hype than the actual play. But the NBA offseason has been very exciting for a lot of teams, especially locally. And whether or not that is you're in New England and a Boston fan, or maybe you're a Knicks fan. It's been interesting in that way too, just on the very negative side.
Yes.
But the big news for the Celtics, they got the guy they wanted.
Shocker.
But how does he fit into that rotation? Because they're going to be getting rid of some players that were some key players helping them throughout the playoffs last year.
The only person they had to get rid of is Olynyk. It's the only person they had to clear space for.
They still have to clear space. They're still looking to clear space, whether it's going to be Smart or Crowder or Bradley. And when I think of a couple of those guys, I don't really want them to get rid of them because I really like the way that they are.
The only person that makes sense for them to get rid of is Smart. And that's because he's only got 1 year left on his contract. So unless you think you're keeping him long-term,
I don't know how much cap room that's going to help.
I believe it clears enough. I mean, you have to remember they were expecting to blow through the cap. Regardless, because they wanted to bring George over too. So it's not a big surprise. But Bradley, I can't really see them getting rid of him. He's your best defender. He's somebody you need on the court. Crowder's an interesting player because you don't know what you're getting from him night to night. He can either be really good or he doesn't really play. Olynyk, the fans love. Does it really hurt to lose? Not really.
He was, honestly, like when I'm watching, and like I remember, I'm just a casual fan. I'm the guy that kind of jumps from time to time. There were definitely a couple games that really got you excited, and you're like, man, where is this guy from? I mean, his big game against the Bulls was fantastic, but then you look back and you're like, are you really going to miss him? Or is he just kind of like that goofy kind of player that fits into that?
He's a 9.6 rebound, emotional energy kind of player. I mean, the fans love him.
They needed him. That's for this year. No question about that. But now they have an extra superstar. They have Jaylen Brown that's going into his sophomore year. Who else do they have?
Tatum, who they drafted.
Tatum, who's doing. He's doing what he should be doing as the third pick in the draft in the summer league right now.
Had a double-double last night, 20-something points, 10 rebounds, a few assists.
Right. Which is what
great shooting.
You want him to excel over the other younger players in the league. That's just going to help us. It's going to help them going further. So I mean, he's someone that maybe you don't necessarily need because you've already picked up some more younger talent. And like I said, someone like Jaylen Brown, he's going to play more as well, and it looks like that that Tatum's going to play, could potentially play a significant amount this year.
Honestly, I would be
as a
surprised
third pick
if Tatum
in the draft.
start.
I wouldn't be surprised. Right?
He should be, and when you look at the talent on that team, there's not that much talent on that team. So for a rookie to come in and start, even a rookie who's
it's not unprecedented that he could start, but
no.
But when we're looking at the and we'll talk about this a little later, we're kind of like tiered off what we think that each team really needs to be that top tier team. I still think the Celtics are that one player away.
They are.
Even after picking up Hayward, they need someone that's going to bring in rebounds.
They need a true center.
Right.
You need Al Horford's your power forward. That's what he is. Mm-hmm. Put him there, leave him there.
When you're sharing rebounds, it's not the same as sharing shot attempts or sharing points. You really need to be able to rebounds is a specialty. You really need someone to get into the middle of that paint. Just take over.
See, here's the question though, because Danny Ainge is getting the question on who do you bring in to fill that role, because they know that's the hole they have. You've got Andrew Bogut, who's not super expensive, coming in off the injury. You could probably get him relatively cheap. You've got Marc Gasol you could trade for.
I just heard that one too yesterday about Marc Gasol. That would intrigue me a lot.
The only reason why I want to
I get that he's a little on the older side, but he's going to come at it cheap, and that's really what you need him for.
He's expensive.
He's really not.
He is. For what he is, he's
32,
expensive.
33 years old. He's not going to be that as expensive as you think he is. Not as expensive as he is right now.
He's more expensive than the other opportunities you can get to fill the void. You don't need points.
But at this point, yeah, you're right. You don't need points. You need rebounds, and that's something that he's very good at doing.
He is very good at
compared to everyone else on the Celtics roster right now,
well,
he would be your top rebounder. Well, that's what I'm saying. Well, don't say that because technically Isaiah Thomas is up there too. The kid can bring down like 7-6 a night.
I can see somebody like a Bogut or possibly even there's talk about DeAndre Jordan finding a new home. I think the Celtics would be a very interesting fit for him.
If you come to the Celtics, you have to realize that they've already put up their money. They've already done that. So you're coming to help win the East.
Yep.
You're not coming to make all your money, and you're here to put your work in, which you're going to have to do because they're going to rely on you.
Yep.
It's going to be a lot on your shoulders as that last piece of the puzzle for rebounding. And you still have to get over the hump of Cleveland. Mm-hmm. I don't believe, in my opinion, that there's enough competition in the East where it wouldn't come down again to Boston and Cleveland in the finals, or in the conference finals. I just don't know I don't know which way that's going to swing yet.
Yep.
Because Cleveland didn't do anything this year. They haven't done anything. They have almost the exact same team. They re-signed Korver, but I don't know how much help that's going to be.
And Richardson's coming back for another year.
And he's getting older.
I thought one of the most interesting articles I've read so far this offseason for the NBA is the fact that LeBron has done zero outreach.
Anything.
He has not gone out and said, come play with me, what he typically does.
Would that mean that, like, in his mind, he thinks that they have the team? That they've already put together that team?
I think he knows he's done.
Or is he frustrated?
He's frustrated, and he knows he's going elsewhere, and he's no point in building and bringing people into a team when you're just going to try to drag them with you when you leave.
I think a lot of it had to do with if someone goes to Cleveland, if you're a top tier player or even just one of these free agents, if you go to Cleveland, would you have signed a multi-year deal? Probably not, right? But then you're risking yourself. But then you can go to a team like a Boston or anywhere and sign a multi-year deal. So why would you go to Cleveland where if you sign the multi-year and then LeBron jumps ship after this year, you're stuck in Cleveland with no talent. Mm-hmm. It's a bad place to be.
Oh yeah. It's really curious to me because the balance of power between the East and West is just getting a little ridiculous. And if things come to fruition like they're not supposed to, but expected or suggested that they're going to, with LeBron moving out to the West, who do you have in the East anymore? You've got Boston.
Pretty much it.
You've got Toronto.
You have Boston
and a couple of fill-ins.
You have Boston, and then you have John Wall in Washington. That's pretty much the talent you have.
I mean, you still have DeRozan, you still have Lowry out in Toronto. So but you've got nothing. Your mega superstars are all in the West.
It's going. I feel like this happens like every handful of years or so. It does kind of flip back and forth between the East and the West, the East and the West. So this is just the time where it is the West. The West is going to take over. They're going to be that dominant league or that dominant conference for a little while.
Yep. And a lot of people talked about Gordon Hayward. One of my favorite posts was on Facebook. It was one of the NBA memes, and it was "Get swept by Cleveland, get swept by Golden State," and I loved it because that's truly the fact of the matter is if you are a superstar in the West, if you don't think your team has a chance of catching up to Golden State, go out East because at least you have a chance.
At least you're going to get there.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's pretty much you could say what LeBron did originally. Mm-hmm. He went to Miami. He formed his non-super team, and they went to the finals. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But it's going to take a collaborative, a couple of all-stars to get together and say, let's go here and win a champ. They have some pieces. Let's go there and get to the finals. And they were able to make that run. Before that, it was pretty much what? It was a San Antonio, Lakers for most of the 2000s. I mean, that's just the way it was. Mm-hmm. Because that's the West. It had that. Then LeBron and company moved to the East, take over a little bit.
And then you had
Boston as well did the same thing.
So
they
the
went
balance
to
of power
they went to
is
two finals. Yeah.
So let's get straight into the idea of your tiers here. So I asked you to do super team teams, tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3.
Right.
Go.
The only reason I'm going to clearly Golden State is in that top tier. The only reason I'm going to keep Cleveland up there as well is because, one, they didn't really do anything this offseason to improve, but they also didn't do anything in this offseason to hurt themselves as well, other than their GM mess. But they have the same team. They went to the finals last year pretty easily. They went to the finals last year. I know they got, confused by Boston for one game or whatever it was. But that team is still a core. If you can get to the finals with ease, I'm going to call you a super team. Now, when it comes to those two super teams facing each other, yes, I'm putting Golden State above Cleveland clearly because of what they just did. But I'm going to put them in my super team tier.
Okay.
And I know that you have them. You have Golden State just completely.
I have Golden State on a whole new level. Which now I'm going to speak very shortly about Golden State because as much as I love them, I think it's getting very insane series. What is happening with that team.
So who just went to them? Nick Young?
Nick Young. And they are
Swaggy Pete.
More than likely going to sign.
I hate nicknames you give yourself.
What's his name from the Clippers? Jamal Crawford. The team is so loaded at this point. You re-signed everyone you had to re-sign, and you are now getting a better bench than you've ever had. What are you going to do against these guys? When the stars come out, Jamal Crawford, Nick Young are both more than capable of coming out and putting up 30 points a night. So you have your stars come off the bench to take a rest. It's no longer can you hold the lead. It's growing the lead. And then you bring the all-stars back in and just say, bow down. Right. It's insane what they have done.
74 wins. Is that what we're going for this year for Golden State?
I would not be surprised if they do it. I really want it. Because I don't see who can challenge them.
And that's why, again, that's another reason why I put Golden State just above Cleveland is because this season, Cleveland didn't do anything to improve. They didn't do anything to worse, but Golden State actually did things to improve.
Yeah.
Which is scary to think about.
Yeah. It's insane. They still haven't locked down Zaza yet. They're expected to. I could kind of care less. I really want McGee to come back. That's really my only preference.
And Curry got his max.
Durant took less money, who's getting a lot of criticism.
See, this is what I don't understand. People yelled at him for going out there and winning and trying to win a championship and going, can't beat him, join him mentality. But then he wins a championship with them. He takes less money on an extension to stay with the team and keep a team together, and he's still getting criticized. What, the guy can't do anything. What was he supposed to do? Just leave so you can criticize him about winning the championship and leaving?
And see, the part for me is it all makes me laugh solely because in every sport there's an all-star who does this to keep a team together or to be able to make your team better. You take less money. Tom Brady does it. Do you give him flack? No.
Thank you for throwing his name. Actually, they give him a lot of flack. But thank you for throwing his name in at least once this episode.
I had to try. At the end of the day, if you want to keep a team together, it costs money. He did what he could do, and he did it into a respect. He gave Curry the respect of saying, you have not gotten paid. Your career, you haven't gotten paid. He let him take his money, and he goes,
it was clearly a step down because there's no question the finals MVP of Kevin Durant and could have possibly have been the NBA and MVP as well, if not for someone like Russell Westbrook that went off. He could have easily said, "Nah, I want that money."
Yeah, he absolutely could have.
That's what I want. But for him to be I'm not going to say to be the bigger man because Curry is more than deserving of a big contract. Now that much money, I'm going to go no. Big contract, yes.
It is an insane.
This is the same kind of money for any one person to receive in a contract. That's ridiculous. So I can't really get into that part of it. But to be able to get his contract finally, fine, I'm good with it. And for Durant to be able to step down, it's like, you know what, get your money. I'm going to take a pay cut from what I normally from what the market says I should be paid, not what I deserve, but what the market says I should be paid, to be able to do that. So I am fully behind Durant and what he's doing, and it's like he's. I think it's more of it's more of a realization that he didn't just come here to win a ring. Yes, he did win a ring, but he really wanted to be part of this team.
Yeah.
And by taking that kind of pay cut, he's doing that as well. Because he could have easily went to somewhere like San Antonio after this or Houston and then been a contender with Golden State. Because you take Durant out of Golden State, and like I said, they're not – I think Cleveland gives them a pretty good a pretty good battle
without Durant.
Without Durant. And I'm still on the side that this is Durant's team. I'm not sold that it's Curry's team. I get he's the one getting paid and he's the all-star and he's the face, but if you take one or the other out of that mix, you take Curry out of that mix for the finals, I still think Golden State wins that game. It still wins that series against Cleveland. If you take Durant out, I don't think they have a chance. I think that Cleveland gives them so much bigger of a fight.
I truly think it's 50-50 because they fill different roles. Durant is definitely the person they needed to get over that hump, and because they needed that type of player to kind of contrast with Curry and Clay. But I think losing Curry changes the dynamic of the court so much.
I still think that even if you lose Curry, you still have someone like with Durant and Clay there. That would still be an unstoppable duo. They were a lot of fun to watch.
All right, but anyway, I didn't want to talk about Golden State that long.
Lies.
So let's move on to Tier 1. Who do you have?
So this is like the team that's missing like that one player. Now, you said to be able to beat Golden State. I think it should just be to be able to get to the finals.
And I agree.
I'd like to just rework that a little bit. And I think right now, in my opinion, clearly I'm a homer when it comes to it. But I think Boston is still missing that rebounder. If they can get that guy that can really just take over the paint, I think they can. I mean, I honestly thought they were going to be able to compete against Cleveland this year, but they were missing that one big factor. They got Hayward, not the piece I was thinking of, but it's a heck of a good piece. So I'd like to see them maybe get that one name that's floating out there that can help them rebounding, because that was the biggest thing I noticed. Yeah. It was pretty much, it was pretty easily known that they
needed rebounds, and they needed someone to score other than Isaiah Thomas.
Right. So, and they have that now. And they have young talent to be able to help them with that. So I think that they have those pieces to be able to compete against Cleveland. Golden State, probably not, but to at least give Cleveland a run. I think that Cleveland is 6, Cleveland is 7. The other team I had on there was San Antonio. I was really hoping they were going to get Chris Paul. I really thought they were going to get Chris Paul because I appreciate what Pop does in San Antonio. I like the whole don't really look at us, let us do our own thing, we're still going to win type of mentality. I was kind of bummed that he didn't go there. But he went to Houston, which Houston needed a player like him. So I'm really curious to see how he works well with Harden.
I am too.
Because
I think San Antonio was the fit for Chris Paul.
I agree.
I don't think Houston is a fit for Chris Paul
it's gonna be
at
weird.
all.
It's going to be weird because both of them like to have the ball in their hands.
Yes, they do.
I don't. When I think of Chris Paul, the first thing that comes to my mind is ball handling. So it's ball handling and dishing. I don't really think of him as a shooter. I know that sometimes his stats will tell otherwise. But when I think of Chris Paul, that's my first vision is him being the handles guy and passing the ball and all that. But that's what Harden is. But he can shoot as well. So I'd be really curious to see how. I feel like that's going to be like a clash of titans in a way.
I do too. Chris Paul's also become more of a shooter, less of a ball handler as he's gotten older and the injuries have come about. But I'm curious.
He's not driving through the paint and all that. You learn as you get older.
Yeah. So for me, I have my tier 1 is Cleveland and San Antonio. I think both those teams are kind of just stagnant. Nothing's changed, but they're clearly above and beyond the rest of the league.
I think we should all just be lucky as sports fans in general that they're in 2 different conferences. Because if they're in the same conference, yes, you'd get 3 or 4 crazy games a year, but at the same time, you don't need that. Let's build the hype. Let's tease it a little bit. Let's get to the finals and then battle it out. Like I said, I could take 5 more years of Cleveland versus Golden State. That's fine with me. At this point, it's fine with me. Maybe in a couple years, I'm like, all right, let's give me something new. But right now, I'm enjoying it.
I would really like to see Boston come alive. But that's mainly just because I don't like LeBron.
I don't really want Golden State to win in 4 games straight in the finals, so I'd rather appreciate that Boston doesn't get there just yet, or at least they get the pieces necessary.
So for me, tier 2, I have Houston, Boston, and Toronto. Mm-hmm. Okay? Houston.
It's similar to what I'm.
We got
the same teams, if anything.
Houston, I'm torn. I don't know if I want to put them there or not, solely because I don't necessarily think that Chris Paul going there makes them better. Honestly, I think it makes them worse. So I'm curious with that one. I think Boston and Toronto are both right there. Toronto's got a lot of young talent. They signed back who they needed to sign. They haven't really done anything to become Magic yet.
It's a status quo.
So we'll see. I think Boston really needs. They got to have that center, and I just feel like they're missing that one role player.
This can't be new news to someone like Danny Ainge. He's got to realize that his team is not a rebounding team. So what do you have? So you have to make the steps necessary. If everyone's saying it and everyone's thinking it, isn't that the move you go? You don't just say, we'll be fine, and
agree.
then move on.
I mean, I'm very against everyone who wants to criticize Danny Ainge for not giving up everything to get Paul George and not doing it in a timely manner. I'm very thankful that he didn't. And anyone who says that Danny Ainge is an idiot for not using what he's got, you're an idiot because you're not going to give away your club for a one-year player.
Here's the problem with Paul George is that he's going to OKC.
Yeah.
Where there wasn't much talent other than Westbrook. He's probably going to excel there because he's now the second superstar in that team, and everyone's going to look at Ainge and go, see what you could have had. No, because he's going to a team with one superstar. If he comes to Boston, he has a few faces to compete with for time and ball time. So I just hope that like later on if George has he's 20 and 10 or whatever it is, whatever he's putting up, his normal numbers, halfway during the season. I don't want people to look at Ainge and be like, look what you did. You could have had that, because I don't think he would have been the right fit here.
No, I don't either.
They want that. I want that veteran rebounder that we can get for a little less money. I didn't want someone that we're going to get for 1 year and then he pieces out and leaves. So
Danny Ainge has more than enough pieces to be able to give away some of them and bring that piece in.
Which they're looking to still do.
Yep. But you don't want to give them all away. You've got so many opportunities and ability to sign long-term contracts for both Isaiah Thomas, for both Gordon Hayward, and you just drafted, or you have got Jaylen Brown, who's a great young talent, who's developing, and then you just signed Jason Tatum, who's playing phenomenally. Hopefully it continues. But you've got
scale back a bit.
But this is the point: is you've got pieces
you have
now.
The potential.
You have pieces that are developing, and you have time to get future pieces.
They still have the potential of getting the number 1 pick next year,
yes,
or the number 6 pick or something like that.
So you have a chance to win now, and you have a chance to bring younger talent in to replace the older guys as time fits. You're just missing that piece or two, so you don't want to give away everything for it. But I do agree, Danny Ainge needs to stop signing or trading for draft picks. That day is done. You don't need more draft picks. You want to keep.
It's almost like he's buying his time. So he sees that there is an expiration date on these teams out west. Where if we can get to 2020, have a couple draft picks in that draft that are going to give us some great young talent. We sign these guys to a little extra. You have Hayward for the next 4 years. So that's going to take you through 2020. Horford, you could re-sign. Isaiah, maybe he sticks around for a while. He's still young. People forget how young he is.
Well, he hasn't played much in the NBA. So
you have Jaylen. You have these pieces that you can kind of extend the life out of into 20. And maybe that's the expiration date for these teams out west. Maybe it's 2 years where they beat up on each other so much. It's like, all right, it's time to break up. It's time to split up here. Now, it's great for the fan that they beat up on each other because it's going to give you some great games during the year.
Right.
But come playoff time, it's going to be a snooze fest. Everyone's going to be staying up late, literally a snooze fest, because everyone's going to be sleeping at work because all those games out west are going to be the ones you're going to want to watch.
Yep.
And they're on at 10 o'clock at night.
Yep.
Not happening for me. I mean, I'll be awake anyway, but I'm just saying.
It will be up for me. Tier 3 is kind of where everything kind of explodes because there's a lot of teams in here. I've got OKC in there, which I think is kind of level with where they surprised me last year, but I don't think they got better.
And I think they clearly got better. I think by picking up George, he's going to help that team, but he's not going to help every team he could have gone to. the way that he's going to help OKC.
He's going to help that team, but that team's not good enough to go anywhere.
You now have your Paul George. The way I look at this is you now have your Paul Pierce and your Kevin Garnett. That's what I see when I look at a Paul George and a Russell Westbrook. But I give those guys a little more credit because I think they're a little more talented. So they need that extra piece to be able to help them out. I see like them about to form the big three. They're a step away from being able to do that.
I don't think you can have a big three.
Oh, it's not going to help them. No, it's not going to.
No, with Russ.
Oh, I think you can.
I don't think there is a big three with Russ. Because unless everyone bows down to him, I don't see it.
Which they might. I mean, it doesn't. You don't have to swallow your pride just to be part of a big three. You can still be. I mean, you could say whatever you want. When it was Bosh, Wade, and LeBron, it was LeBron. He was the number one. There's no doubt about that. So you don't have to necessarily give into the whole "we're a team" type of thing. Clearly, I mean, you look back on years later after the Celtics. There's still a lot of I'm not going to say hate, but there's a dislike there between some of the players. So, I mean, there was a lot of apparently pride swallowing back then that has now been, thrown out there in the public way.
Yeah.
Right.
I got Washington in there. They're young talent, but they're still missing several pieces to be able to compete.
And they just signed Wall to a max, right?
Yes. You've got Atlanta. I do like the fact that Atlanta finally got rid of Howard because he's just such a liability.
When does he go back to
the end of the game?
When does he go back to Orlando? Does he pull a LeBron? I'm going to call a championship in Orlando.
Why would they want him?
Why not? Because they don't have anything else.
I've got Minnesota in there. I've got Portland in there, another young team. The Clippers, I'm kind of on edge on. They're a completely new team. Mm-hmm. You still have DeAndre Jordan. You still have Blake Griffin. You just signed Gallinari.
Well, you have this team down here. Do you think that with what about someone like team like the Lakers or something like that? I know they were at the bottom of the barrel last year, but they've added some talent, have they not?
They've added some talent.
Would you put them up a little higher now?
How
do you not, I guess?
I was surprised with the way last season went. They started off strong. I love the young talent they have on that team. They have a lot of it. But they just couldn't be consistent, and I think there was a lot of drama and a lot of issues in the locker room, which have now been resolved with getting rid of D'Angelo. But honestly, the Lakers are building up for next year. They're not building up for this year. They're clearly building up for next year, which numerous teams are, because that's going to be the controversy is where does LeBron go? Can I get LeBron? So the Lakers cleared cap room. They started moving pieces so that they can work around. I still think they got better this offseason, but I don't think they're anywhere near a playoff team.
Would Utah have been that team if Hayward didn't leave?
I would have put Utah probably in a tier 2
because they picked up Rubio. I think they clearly picked up Rubio to try and entice Hayward to stay, and it just didn't work.
No.
But I think that would have been an interesting mix to be able to have them together.
I want to disagree.
I think there's still a lot of hype over Rubio that hasn't really, fizzled out since he was in college.
You know what? What kind of team I would love to see Rubio on? And this is going to sound completely stupid, but if you take some of these players from the Warriors and then we add in a couple others, you put Rubio on the floor with a Klay Thompson and a Curry and a Jamal Crawford and a Kevin Durant, just for kicks and giggles.
Yeah.
You have one guy who dribbles the ball really well and he makes the most ridiculous passes we've ever seen to 4 people who can shoot the ball from anywhere on the court.
But if you had, I think you would make defenders dizzy if you had someone like Rubio and Curry going back and forth together. It's like honestly, you're creating a Globetrotter team.
Oh, and then you add in Durant, who's a 7-footer
right.
and can handle
the
ball.
The Globetrotters, yeah.
So I would love something like that. I'm curious to see what Utah does. They did get some draft pieces as well. I'm unsure of where they're going to end up. I think losing Hayward is kind of a big hit to that team. But we'll see. One of the things that I laughed at the most is who does the 5 o'clock show on ESPN Radio? Is that Rich and Arnie?
Oh, at 4 o'clock?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's Brady and Arnie now.
Yeah.
Rich is down south in Connecticut doing play-by-play for the Connecticut Tigers or something like that.
Who knows?
He's doing a good job.
But I was listening to them talk about how his belief is that he doesn't think that Coach Stevens has had any effect on Hayward coming. And I was listening, and I really wanted to call and say, you're an absolute moron.
You should be calling in.
You are an absolute moron if that's the case.
If that's not his college coach, I don't even think he's sniffing at Boston.
I think he might sniff it just because bigger...
because I think Stevens is the reason that the Celtics are so successful right now.
I do too, absolutely.
So
because
if he's not there, it's a different team. And again, I don't think Hayward even looks twice.
I was dumbfounded with that thought. He goes, he wanted more money, he wanted more exposure.
But that's his job, is to get you riled up on your way home from work.
No, you're an idiot. I don't like you. All right, I think we talked enough NBA. Let's move on.
All right, I'd like to talk a little bit of baseball. We have the midway point of the season's coming up, and the spot.
We're at All-Star break, right?
Not yet. No, it's next week. So
it's next week?
I think the last games will be Sunday. No, last games will be Saturday or Sunday, and then they have the All-Star. It's usually like all the games are like 1 o'clock on Sunday, maybe like 4 o'clock if you're out west, and then you have the Futures game is on Sunday. Down in Miami, you have the Home Run Derby on Monday. You have the All-Star Game on Tuesday. Wednesday, there's no baseball. It's one of the more boring days. I think it's
the most boring day in sports.
It's the most boring day in sports. However, there still is WNBA. So if you're whatever Sparks fan, I don't know what kind of teams they have anymore. You can watch them.
You at least named one.
I got one. Are they the Lakers? No, that's the Los Angeles Sparks. All right, see, I got it. And the Lynx. There's a Lynx.
Yep.
Hold on, I can keep going with this. Hold on. Where's the Lynx from? They're in Minnesota or something like that.
I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, so
moving on.
But it is also ESPYs night, which I want to talk about. I want to talk about a little bit that towards the end of today. You have the ESPYs as well. So. It is it's considered the day that sports stands still because nothing really is going on. But you have the All-Star break coming up. You have a bunch of local players that have made the All-Star team, some that maybe should have that aren't on there. The Home Run Derby has already sparked some controversy, and I'm excited. But the Red Sox in first place, and they're in first place by a comfortable amount. 4 games. The Yankees have really fallen off. I think, what was I looking up there? Against their last 6 opponents, they're 6-13. So they've just nothing is clicking. For the Yankees. Now their big boy Judge is still hitting like crazy. He's attempting that
strikes out like crazy as well.
Strikes out as well. But he's got 29 home runs now.
29 home runs. But
it's clearly likely he'll have 30 by All-Star game.
Yeah. I think his last 3 games, he has a home run in each of them.
Yeah.
And he struck out the rest of his at-bats.
Yeah, he's like 1 for 4
in each of the last 3
like
games.
Right. So, but, like I said at the beginning of the year, man, I hope this guy isn't juicing. He is a lot of fun to watch.
He's
going to put the butts in the seats. It's what he's doing right now for the Yankees. Is what he's doing for any team that they're going to travel to. Everyone wants to see this guy hit.
Oh yeah.
I'm really excited for Monday night. I got
him in the home run derby.
I'm got the TV ready to go. I cannot wait for the home run derby because especially against someone like Giancarlo Stanton, who has owned the home run derby the last couple of years, and really he's owned home run power for a few years in the league.
Can Big Papi come back and just do the home run derby?
He would not want to even attempt to swing. But the best part is that you're in Stanton's not hometown, but you're in his home park.
Yeah.
You're in Miami. So this is big hype type of home run derby that we're really getting into. There was a couple, was it Logan Morrison? Yeah, Logan Morrison for Tampa Bay is already, he's yapping already because he doesn't think that Sanchez should be in the home run derby. He's the catcher for the Yankees. He's got only 13 home runs this year. But then I saw a stat from Buster Olney that said that Sanchez was also the fastest rookie to 50 home runs or something like that from last year and this year. So he's only a two-year veteran. So I'm actually curious to see how well he does because it's not like you have a guy that I can't remember what year it was, but there was a year that Jason Bay, I think when he was playing for the Mets, decided it was a year that the All-Star game or the home run derby took a player from every country. And Bay from, I believe, Canada was that Canadian, and I think he goose-egged it. I don't think he hit one. It's not that kind of player. Sanchez is a home run hitter. Maybe he's in a bit of a slump right now, but he is a home run hitter, clearly.
Yeah, so, hey, maybe you throw him in the home run derby and he comes back and he hits 50 for the rest of the year.
Right, maybe it's the opposite effect. They always say that the home run derby jinx, where you go in the home run derby, you lose your swing, and then it's time, and then you don't hit. You're not hitting as well the second half. Maybe for Sanchez, maybe that's a booster. Maybe he does that now. He hits another 20, 30 home runs the second half of the year.
And I don't think it makes a difference to Judge because he doesn't hit anything other than a home run anyway.
I feel like batting practice for him every day is a home run derby. I mean, he's denting Yankee Stadium right now. That's the highlight now, is showing what part of Yankee Stadium did Judge break this time.
Yeah.
I think he hit a 500-foot home run in batting practice or something like that. He's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And the best part is, it looks effortless. Have you seen him swing?
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's just a nice little pop, and the ball just flies.
Took.
So, and they've already set the tiers. So the only chance that Judge will face Stanton is in the finals, which is great. That's what they should be doing. They finally got something a little right about this All-Star weekend. And then you have to fill in the blanks. I mean, Cody Bellinger for LA. I think he's a first year. He's a rookie as well. He's tearing the cover off the ball. So I mean, especially for teams that are doing well. And then you have someone like Mike Moustakas for Kansas City. He always hits the crap out of it. So they've got some big hitters, which is good. I don't want to see like a couple people in there. They're like, no. Mainly everyone has almost 20 home runs. There's a couple that don't. But there are people that are missing that I would really like to see in here that really put spring into a hit. And someone like that for me, it was Votto from Cincinnati. When I think of home runs, he's one of the first people I think of. Again, someone that strikes out a lot but hits home run. And I'm fine with that. That's what the home run derby is. So that's what I would rather see. But one aspect I wanted them to add in this year that they didn't is you could take out probably one of these players. I don't even care who it is. Like someone like Justin Bour, he's also from Miami. He's got 18 home runs. So I kind of get that we're having him in there because it's Miami. Yeah. It makes sense. But someone like Gary Sanchez you could take out because you already have your big name from New York. I think that's something they should do, unless you have like the top two hitters on the same team in category. There should be no reason for them to be in the home run derby together. No. I would rather them split up and take. I want representation from other teams. And someone I think that they should do that for is the Mets. They should take Jacob deGrom, pitcher, and have him in the home run derby. These pitchers like to hit, but it would get you excited. Mm-hmm. Even if he only puts 3 over, that's going to be the 3 most exciting home runs that have been hit all home run derby. I don't care if Giancarlo hits one 550. If someone like deGrom or Arrieta or Bumgarner, I think Bumgarner's hurt right now, but if one of those hits even one home run, that place is going to come down because it's that exciting. And these players, they're athletes. They know how to hit a home run. Mm-hmm. It's batting practice. They're not out there trying to hit a slider 400 feet.
Yes.
They're out there trying to hit a 70-mile-an-hour fastball to dead left or dead right. So unless you're Stanton and then you hit it to center field because it's just ridiculous. So I was a little bummed they didn't try to integrate that. I hope next year they do. What I would love to see next year is I'd like to see them take one player from every position and put them in the home run derby. So take the league-leading right fielder, take the league-leading center fielder, take the league-leading left fielder, take the league-leading pitcher, catch, and put them all up against each other. Because I think you could do something where you put like the pitcher versus the catcher. Or you could do the pitcher versus the shortstop. Because there's not a lot of shortstops out there that are hitting tons of home runs. Right. So put a pitcher against the shortstop. Put the second baseman against the catcher. The first baseman, third base, and then mix up your outfield. Yeah. I think you could, a DH with an outfielder and then 2 outfielders. There you go. I just kind of said it right there. It's really all you would have to do, and I think you would have a very entertaining home run derby.
I do too. And you'd be rooting for the underdog. You'd be rooting for the pitcher. You'd be rooting for that shortstop just because.
I don't root for the Mets very often, but when I do, it would be for home run derby.
Oh, absolutely. I agree.
It's also for a young minor leaguer that is doing very well right now with the St. Lucia Mets, Mr. Thomas Tebow. Timothy Tebow. Batting .360, an on-base percentage of .500, hit his second home run for the Mets last night. He's got 7 RBIs, 6 walks. He's played 12 games? No, 9 games now for the Mets, and he's been on base every single game.
More power. Bring it on, baby.
the Mets are in such a hole right now. Such a hole. They got postponed last night, but since then, I think they were 1-9 against like the big opponents. So I'm talking like the Dodgers, the Nationals, the teams you really have to compete against. They're under 500. I think they're in third place in the NL East.
Half their team is hurt.
Half their team is hurt. Their outfielders, especially, they can't seem to keep a healthy outfielder out on the field.
Or pitchers for that matter.
I'm telling you, September. I know we talked about it last year and we said it's not going to happen. I would be shocked if he got called up in September. But he's doing in the small sample size of like 10 games for a single A long season team. He's doing really well, and he's at least competitive. He's not going in there and he's like, oh, I'm 1 for 4. I'm 0 for 4, but I got to walk. Like he's getting it. He's collecting his hits. He's hitting for power. It also seems like every time he hits a home run, it's the opposite field. Have you seen some of his home runs?
I have.
So does this mean that he's just got the power, but he's got no bat swing? I mean, that's what I would think of first, is that he's just swinging so late.
Yeah.
But he's got the power behind it that the ball just goes off his field. Every time this guy swings, it seems like it's going to the opposite
He's
field.
a heck of an athlete, and people want to laugh at him. People don't like him, so be it. The guy's an athlete. His mechanics still need work.
Now has more home runs than Michael Jordan had in the minors, which makes Tim Tebow the greatest NBA basketball player to ever play baseball.
How about that?
I can't see. They're 11 and a half. They're 11 and a half games back. They're 9.5 in the wild card back. I will flip it on you. I would be shocked if Tebow isn't playing for the Mets in September.
Just to fill the seats and to make money.
Absolutely, because that's all he is right now. Like I said, he's a show pony.
Yep.
He's playing for the St. Louis Mets. And what did I see? I see a great stat. The Columbia Fireflies had the Mets, the single A Mets. They had a record for biggest attendance this year, and you can only attribute it to one man, and it's Tim Tebow. They were doing a by the numbers. How many fans does Tim Tebow bring in? Tim Tebow himself, and they showed the average attendance without a Tim Tebow, and then the opponent that the Columbia Fireflies were playing with Tim Tebow. He brings in on his own 2,500 fans.
Yeah, without a doubt.
An average of 2,500.
That's to a single A club.
It's a crazy increase. That's the name you need.
Single A club.
So here's what the NFL and the MLB have to do. They have to start collaborating a little bit more and shoot an NFLer that's just not. He's a big name, but he's off the bat. Send him to the MLB and help the minor league system with their attendance. Mm-hmm. It could be a nice little collaboration, money in everybody's pocket. That's all you have to do because it's clearly working.
Yes.
For a name like Tim Tebow. So let's get Colin Kaepernick a glove. Let's go have him play.
He'd be a great pitcher, right?
I think
That's what he used to be.
Right? It'd be fine. And I think people would go because of the controversy. So they would go anyway. That's what Tim Tebow is.
I'd rather see Tebow. I have no interest in Kaepernick.
I'll see Tim Tebow playing chess. I don't really care what he's doing.
Yeah.
I just want to hang out.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is right now I would be shocked that if he wasn't playing for the Mets at the end of September.
If we meet him, would it be wrong to invite him over for a Super Bowl party?
I don't see why not. I mean, clearly he's not doing anything else. I mean, he might be getting ready for spring training, but it kind of be like on his last leg. Like he's ready to go down to spring training. So I think we'd have to go to him to watch the Super Bowl with him, but that's just me.
I'd be all right with that.
Over the last couple days, Julian Edelman, he's very big on social media, and he posted himself catching a ball from Tom Brady in Montana in Tom Brady's vacation place. And it's like a pristine mini football field. Are you shocked in any way that Tom Brady has this to his disposal, this football field in the middle of Yellowstone Park? Of all places, though, it was a little shocking to me. I'm like, that didn't make. I didn't think Tom Brady was like that kind of guy. I thought I still look at him and think, yeah, he's LA. Like that's him. He's California kid. And come to find out,
why? Because he's pretty boy.
Yeah, of course he is, and he's from there. So I don't think of a guy from Southern California to be that I'm going to go out to Yellowstone and camp in a very luxurious cabin. Of course, not really camping, but he has a pristine, really nice looking football field that he invites his wide receivers out to come practice with him.
Where are there more people to bug you, LA or
well, in
nowhere?
LA you could still find that place to do that. I mean, you could have the private property to do that. I mean, he has his own like sanctuary in randomly in Montana.
What's wrong with Montana, man?
It really, I could see it like being in Maine. I guess that's where I expected it. I didn't expect it in Montana.
I think he's had enough. He doesn't want to be in
New England anymore. He's sick of it. He's done with the
Well,
lobster.
it's not so much that he's done with the lobster. He's like, I spend enough time here. This is my getaway.
Meanwhile, you have the duo of. Have you seen any bit of video from Amendola and Edelman together? They're like, you've seen the movie Step Brothers. Mm-hmm. It's like that kind of like togetherness. They're a crazy bromance right now. It's worth it. It's a little funny just to look into a little bit. I did want to get into the ESPYs. Those are also coming up on Wednesday after the All-Star game. And I just wanted to kind of not dispute, but kind of talk out where these teams would really fit. Maybe what our guesses would be as to where these teams are. Because I think that the right team that should be chosen is going to be different from clearly the team that will be chosen.
Okay.
Because it's a fan vote.
Yep.
It's not a pool of critics or sports reporters that are taking in all the different things. It's literally like, oh, I'm an OKC fan, I pick OKC, or I'm a Golden State, I pick Golden State.
Yep.
The first one was best male athlete that we'll go over to real quick, and that was Chris Bryant for the MLB. And again, this is a weird pool. It's not like the greatest of great. It's Chris Bryant for the MLB, Sidney Crosby for his. It says the Stanley Cup final, so I don't know if they're just talking about that point. Michael Phelps in swimming, and then Russell Westbrook. And the only thing I could think of is how do you not give it to someone like Michael Phelps? He faces the greatest athletes in the world on the greatest stage in the world in the Olympics. So would you just kind of have to get? So this is what I mean. Like, he probably deserves it, but he's not going to win it. Does it make sense that someone like Russell Westbrook is going to win it because it's fresh in everybody's mind?
The thing for me is, I like Michael Phelps, and he is phenomenal. I mean, watching him swim is absolutely incredible.
There's nobody better.
But, like you said, time and relevance, I think, play just too much of a part.
One of these in here is best team. Golden State's going to win that. Why? Because they're relevant. That's who just won.
Yeah. I think these are tricky.
Yeah.
These are tricky. I don't know how you don't vote for Russ.
Yeah, I think,
just because he had such an incredible year.
I think Westbrook will win.
Yeah.
You as well?
I do.
Best female athlete, Simone Biles, Katie Ledecky, Candace Parker, and Serena Williams.
Serena.
I have to put Serena up there. I know what Simone Biles did in the Olympics, but when you're talking about a female athlete, there's no one that scares the crap out of me more if I ever had to face them in any sport. No. I don't care if we're playing tennis, softball, football. If Serena Williams is on the other side, I'm petrified to face her because she's someone I think that could take, and clearly she can do it pregnant too, which is insane. And then there was this one I did like, best championship performance. So you have Kevin Durant in the NBA Finals, Shea Knighton for the Women's College World Series, Deshaun Watson for college football national championship, and then you had Tom Brady. No offense to Shea and Deshaun, I feel like that's college. It's on a separate tier. Then you have Tom Brady and Durant. How can you? I know I had that. It's like that feeling. I know Durant's going to win this, but he shouldn't win it. What Tom Brady did in the Super Bowl is unfathomable.
The only reason why I don't think Tom Brady would win it is because there's too many people who don't like New England.
And that's what I mean. So I think Tom Brady should win it, but I'm like 99% sure he's not going to win it. I think Durant will win
I'd be shocked, but I agree.
But you're talking about championship performance. Durant put up 30-plus points. I get it. He was completely relevant in that series. But
they had the lead every day.
But that's what I mean. There wasn't. If you take him completely out, yes, I think it's a little different. But if he does like 50% of that, if Tom Brady does 50% of what he did in the championship, they don't even come close to winning that championship. He went above and beyond to win that championship performance. There was no one better.
No, and I completely agree. But I do not think he'll win.
No, I don't either. So who do you think Durant will win?
Yeah.
So I'm going to take Tom Brady because I take my boy. I got to do that. Best breakthrough athlete. So you had Giannis Antetokounmpo. I'm better at saying that name. Lori Hernandez for gymnastics team, Aaron Judge, Dak Prescott, and Christian Pulisic, soccer. I'm just going to cross him out. I don't know who he is.
That's hard.
Aaron Judge is your breakthrough athlete now. But what Dak Prescott was able to do with help, he put his name on the map.
Oh, yeah.
But then you have Giannis Antetokounmpo as well. I don't know if he really fits in that spot.
I do. I think those three are.
If I'm picking now, I'm picking Judge because he's relevant. But if I'm picking overall, what Dak Prescott was able to do last year was fun to watch.
Because this is a fan vote, but then again, everyone loves the Yankees. I'm going to go with Dak. I'm going to go with Dak because the Cowboys are America's team, and they finally had something to love again.
Yeah, it'll be Lori Hernandez. It's okay. Best game, we're talking Cubs winning over the Indians in Game 7 of the World Series, Patriots beating the Falcons in the Super Bowl, and then Federer versus Nadal in the Australian Open.
Cubs.
For me, it was the greatest. It was the best comeback in Super Bowl history.
I won't argue
if you're
that.
an Atlanta fan, if you're an Atlanta fan, it is the worst game. It's not the best game.
But
that
again,
would be considered in the West.
Too many people don't like New England.
Right, and I get that.
And that's the point.
And for the Cubs and the Indians, you were going for history.
Yeah.
And I get that. But when it comes to best game, the thing about the World Series, I got to watch 7 of these games if it goes that far. The Super Bowl, I only have to watch once. And that's why I think that should be considered like the best game. Like that was more a best series. But when you're talking best game, I got to give it to, clearly I'm going to give it to the Patriots. The best play, and it was Julian Edelman's crazy catch. Morgan Williams' buzzer beater over UConn. Aaron Rodgers to Jared Cook. What was that one? That was was that the scramble, the toss, type of play? Couldn't remember. And then Northwestern's buzzer beater in the Final Four? No, Elite Eight.
That's interesting.
So the significant. It's hard for me. This is one where I wouldn't pick the Patriots because the significance of that catch was it was really cool. But it was also first down.
Yeah,
so they still had 3 more chances to make a first down.
I would give the lead to the Northwestern.
I would give it over UConn. That UConn team was top of the line. If you're talking top tiers, that was the line. For you to beat UConn in the, I think that was the Final Four. That was. I remember going crazy. I watched that, and I was going crazy. And I don't get into women's college basketball, let alone college basketball in general, but women's college basketball I really don't get into. So when you take down UConn, that was a lot of fun for me to watch. And I got really excited watching
I suppose that's true. I mean, the UConn women are definitely the super team.
And we'll wrap it up with best team. So you have the Chicago Cubs, the Clemson Tigers, Golden State Warriors, Pittsburgh Penguins, New England Patriots, South Carolina Gamecocks, which is the team that won the finals, and then the U.S. women's gymnastics team.
It's hands down Golden State.
It's hands down the U.S. women's gymnastics teams. They won 12 medals against the greatest athletes in the world.
Good for them.
Golden State just picked up some people on free agency and toyed with the league. They did.
They picked up one person.
They toyed with the league. They said, we're just going to pick up the greatest superstar in the league, and then we're going to win the NBA Finals. And they did. Women's gymnastics team, hands down.
No.
Hands down. 12 MLB titles. 12
MLB titles?
They won that. That's how good they were. They just jumped to a different league. That's going to do it for this week on Huddle Up. Sorry for the confusion at the beginning of the show. We'll get better next week. He's JT. I'm Paul. We'll see you then.